Yo, what's going on? We've got NFL playoffs, baby. It's
Let's
the
go.
wild card round. It's been a hell of a season. Pretty wacky season, crazy season. But we got the best part now, as Chad always says. This NFL season happens in a couple different seasons, like a show or something like that. And this is the best one of them all. When we get to the wild card round, it's super wild card now that they added the extra playoff team. Whatever the NFL wants to say, I guess we'll go with that. Super NFL or Super Wild Card weekend here. We're going to start off with the Seahawks plus 9.5 going to San Francisco. The over-under set at 42. Now, the Seahawks have lost twice to the 49ers already. And in the NFL, it's very hard. Everybody says it. It's very hard for teams to, win a game against the same team 3 times in one season. But Brock Purdy only won 1 game so far. So there's a little bit of, a difference there. If it was the same quarterback, I would be thinking, I don't know, we got to be on the Seahawks here maybe. But I think overall this team is just a little too talented. But I'm not calling this game either way. I'm not calling the over-under either. I think this is priced very well. I could very well see the Seahawks losing this game by 5 points, 7 points, 9 points even, and covering. And I could see the 49ers winning by 25. You know what I mean? They won by 20 the first game. They won by 8 the second time. But that win by 8 is a little it's a little misleading because it was 21-3 in the third quarter there.
Right.
It ended up being 21-13 by the end of it, but the Seahawks never really had a chance to win. They were just fighting back to try to cover, really. So
but that's a good reason to stay away from it, though.
Right.
Like I don't see. I really, honestly, do not see a path to the Seahawks winning this game. But I also can't trust 9.5 points with the 49ers, especially with the weather conditions. You've been updating me on that all morning.
Yeah.
Tell the people about what's going on weather-wise, because you really got to look at this stuff when you're talking about player props and picking sides, picking these over-unders or anything like that. The weather's disgusting.
Yeah, so right now we're looking at, as of the last time I looked at the forecast, right around kickoff time, we're looking at 70 to 80% rain and lightning and 18-mile-per-hour winds. Now, hopefully we miss the lightning so the game gets to go on and everything like that. But 18-mile-per-hour winds, you don't really want to throw through that. You don't really want Geno Smith or your 7th-round rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, throwing through that. You really don't. I mean, at the end of the day. The other thing that I thought about is you really don't want Christian McCaffrey and his banged up knees, ankles. He's injury prone. He, as talented as he is, he gets banged up a lot. I mean, it is what it is. He's playing running back. He's getting a ton of touches, so it makes sense. But you don't really want him cutting and sliding and jabbing the ankles on a wet field, on a shitty field. So I'm thinking I'm going to stay away from him, even though it should be a running game. They have Elijah Mitchell back. They love using him. They have loved using Jordan Mason as well. They have both been reliable backs for the 49ers. So as long as those guys stay healthy, I think as long as they're in control of this game, you kind of put CMC on the sideline for a couple drives here and there. I'm not saying just don't play him at all. Obviously, you're going to use him to get the lead and make the game comfortable. But once it is comfortable, if we're looking at 21-3 in the third quarter like it was last time they played, I don't think you keep giving CMC the ball, man. You want to be able to use him next week if you're in control of that game. So I'm going to stay away from taking an over. That doesn't mean I'm going to take an under because, I don't have the balls to take an under on Christian McCaffrey here. He's obviously their most talented player. He's obviously a guy you want to go to. So I'm not taking the under, but I was just warning, maybe stay away from the over. He's set at 78.5 rushing yards, 16.5 rushing attempts, 36.5 receiving, 4.5 catches, and 118.5 rushing and receiving. The only one I would consider taking an under on is the rushing and receiving because the 118 is a little high. Now, obviously, he can hit it, definitely. I'm not taking it personally, but that might be the route you want to go if you think they're going to kind of give him a less of a load because of the weather, if the field is shitty. That we have yet to see yet. So that's not something I would lock in until right before game time as I'm looking at the field. They do have the tarp over it and everything, but if it's raining hard during the game, I just think it would be smart to save CMC as much as you can, obviously, unless you need to, sneak out a win, which I don't really see that happening. I think the Seahawks are going to be playing from behind a little bit, but they'll be good enough to keep it close, I think, maybe. We shall see.
Yeah.
And you kind of agree there, right?
Yeah. For sure. So what else you got? Because I know you got some other props for this game.
So right along with the run game that we think because of all the rain, I just don't see the Seahawks really trying to pass through them. I know the San Francisco rush defense is very good. They're the best in the league. I know that. That's why I didn't take Kenneth Walker for his rushing yards. I'm taking his rushing attempts over 16.5 rushing attempts. It's minus 105 on BetMGM. You can get it other places as well, but it's super juiced up on FanDuel. minus 140. And I think a couple other books were super juiced up. But we found minus 105 on BetMGM, so go get it while you can. I'm putting 1 unit on that. Let's talk about it. Heavy winds, rain, etc. He's hit this in 7 out of 11 games so far since becoming the starter. San Francisco's defense is elite, but that doesn't mean they won't try. So, when you're getting stuffed, you have to run a little bit more to get some more yards. I think 17 carries will be easy. If it's raining as hard as it's supposed to be for the first half, I wouldn't be surprised if he had 15 at halftime. You know what I mean? And especially if the Seahawks are able to keep it within a touchdown or 10-point game up until halftime, if it gets away from them after that, I'm not too worried about it. Kenneth Walker will only need 3 or 4 or 5 carries after that. Hopefully. That's how I see this game going. So I'm going to take that. He had 23 plus in the last 3 games. And also the backup, DJ Dallas. First of all, the last 3 games, he's only had 2, 7, and 2 carries, and it hasn't stopped Kenneth Walker from getting 23 plus.
Right.
They're not even going to the backup that much anyway, even though he did have that game with 7. Kenneth Walker still had 23 in that game. All we need is 17 here. But DJ Dallas is also listed questionable right now, so I think it's going to be like a game-time decision. If they don't really want to go to him that much, they definitely don't want to go to the third guy up at that much either. So I think Kenneth Walker is going to get – he's got 87% of the snaps last week. So, he's going to be in the game the whole time. He's going to get touches. I expect a lot to be coming from the ground. So
I like it. And I have an alternative to this play that I want to put out later. We'll do that at the end. But this I have like a all right. So if everything about the weather and everything, if everything goes opposite of that, I have a play that is very small, but it can be profitable. So let's move on to your next one.
Yeah, so my next one, I'm taking a shot here. A shot not necessarily in the dark because it has been hitting. They've been going to Elijah Mitchell a lot when they get down to the goal line in the red zone. Well, I shouldn't say a lot. He just came back last week. But they went to him twice. He got 2 touchdowns on 5 carries. But what I meant by a lot is that they've been taking CMC out a lot in those situations. It's been Jordan Mason in the weeks prior before Elijah Mitchell came back. We're not going to take Jordan Mason this week because obviously Elijah Mitchell is the next guy up. Although if you want to take Jordan Mason and you think this might be on the blowout territory side of things, big money probably. So he could get a fourth quarter one. I wouldn't be surprised if he snuck in a fourth quarter touchdown with CMC and Elijah Mitchell on the sideline resting up for next week if it came down to that. But I'm just going to take a stab at this. Elijah Mitchell, anytime touchdown is plus 235 on DraftKings. You're getting good numbers elsewhere as well if you don't have DraftKings, but plus 235 is the best on the board that I saw. I'm going with a half unit on that because obviously it is a risk. I know Christian McCaffrey could end up with 3 touchdowns this game. It's something that could happen. That's why we're not fading Christian McCaffrey, but we're going to go Elijah Mitchell here and see what happens. That's the only two official plays that I have in this game right now. So 1 unit on the Kenneth Walker play and then a half unit on that. But I did want to mention this. Brock Purdy, over 1.5 passing touchdowns. It has hit every single game since he became the starter. He has not had a game yet without 2 touchdowns. But I'm going to stay away and see how he does. This is his first playoff game. So I wanted to warn everybody that although it looks great and, it's been hitting, he had 3 last week even, stay away maybe this week. Even if he gets the 2, I'm cool with losing out on that rather than actually taking the bet. So I just don't know how he's going to come out for his first playoff game. So I'm staying away there. That's all I have for this game. So we'll get into the next game unless you got something else. Do you want to talk about your little parlay too right now while we're on this one?
Uh-oh. I don't know if that's me or if that's AG. I'm just going to. All right, was that you?
I think it's you. I did you hear me come through at all?
I heard you. I just your camera went out, so it froze.
Oh, okay.
You're starting to break up a little bit, but
we were both here on my end. But here, talk about your little hedge against Kenneth Walker in case it is a passing heavy game for them.
So I have. Do you have it? Do you have that screenshot pulled up?
I don't have the screenshot pulled up on here, but I have it right here. So I'll say what it is. It's the Seahawks plus 9.5. Okay,
so it was it's the plus. So it's Seahawks plus 9.5. This is like taking all right. So on the off chance that the Seahawks keep this closer and are able to find a game plan to get it done, and I really think they're going to struggle to run the ball consistently. So I'm looking for, even though I think Kenneth Walker can get those carries, I think that the yardage and the chunk plays and everything are going to come out of the passing game. So what jumped out to me was I saw Geno Smith 1.5 touchdowns over was plus 195. And that was the thing that was the seed that birthed this tree of this little parlay that I built. So it's I think it's 5 legs, and it's I'm putting a tenth of a unit on it. A very small bet, but that tenth of a unit can win you 1.9 units if it hits. It's a 18.75 to 1 odds on it. So yeah, it's Seahawks plus 9.5. Geno Smith over 1.5 touchdowns. We got DK Metcalf with 40 yards receiving plus, and Tyler Lockett. I'm sorry, Noah Fant. Yeah, Noah Fant, 25 plus yards receiving, and then it's is it Tyler Lockett anytime touchdown?
Yeah,
right.
Tyler Lockett for a touchdown. Yep.
Yeah, so Tyler Lockett's had a touchdown like every week for like the last 8 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, and in a situation, in a game script where, say, the 49ers are up 21-3 at halftime, like they were the last time these two teams met up a couple weeks ago on Thursday Night Football, say that is the situation, the Seahawks have to pass the whole second half, he might actually get some of those garbage touchdowns and still cover the 9.5 if they are able to get those touchdowns. As long as Tyler Lockett gets it, it could hit. DK Metcalf, he doesn't match up very well against this 49ers defense, but 40 yards isn't asking for a lot. So no. I like where it's at, and definitely Noah Fant, he scored a touchdown last time they played. We had that. So is that correct? I think that's correct. I'm pretty sure off the top of my head. Yeah. He scored a touchdown last time, and we did call that as well. So maybe it's his day again. Maybe not for a touchdown, instead Tyler Lockett, or maybe he gets the second one from Geno Smith to cash us out. But yeah, that's what we got for this game. I think the 49ers win it. If I'm picking just, obviously there's no value there, but I'm picking the 49ers to win it. Since it is the playoffs, I guess we'll pick every game and keep going and keep a record or something like that, even though there's no value in this one. All right, then let's get into this night game here. We got the 2 quarterbacks of the future in the AFC. It's funny that we're saying that about the AFC and not the NFC, because the NFC is like every single player has either no playoff games or like 3, and then there's Brady with like 150. Go on mute real quick, Chad. I don't know what. I guess.
That's my AC. My bad. All right, I got you.
You're good. Yeah. So
I had a basketball tournament for my son, so I'm like, we're in between games, and I came out to the car because it's what we got to do. I'm a man of order. I'm trying to keep my life in order.
I was about to say that. Hey, real quick, shout out to Cassius Cam. He said, "Shit, I'm late. Let's get some bread." Yo, Cam, no worries. I'm gonna post all the pics on the Twitter, or you can just watch it back when we get off here. But we're gonna get into the second game now. You only missed one, so you got not too much to catch up with. We got the Chargers coming in as favorites, -2.5 at the Jaguars. Over under set at 47. Now look, the Jaguars beat the bricks off of them in week 3, 38-10. There were some injuries involved with the Chargers and all that. So I get that. There also is some injuries involved now because they decided to play everybody last week for no apparent reason, to definitely me and Chad's surprise, probably the rest of you NFL fans as well. And Mike Williams got hurt. He's out. It sucks. And I tweeted this out from the Moose Sports account. I hate to see a player not be able to play in a game, especially a playoff game. As much as I hate it though, man, they deserve that one. Like they did. There's nothing to say there. So, and then Bosa's banged up a little bit, but he should be good. He's playing and everything. But yeah, I don't know what they were doing, but I got the Jags money line in this one. Part of the reason is that coaching difference. If it comes down to a situation where it's winning in, obviously playoffs, you gotta stay alive. Doug Peterson's been there before. Staley hasn't. Right. Both quarterbacks are making their first playoff starts. This should be a fun matchup, going forward a couple years in the future as well. Maybe, AFC championships, the way the trajectory of both of these teams are looking with their rosters right now currently. But yeah, I'm going Jags money line, man. They're coaching advantage. They're at home, a home dog in the playoffs. I'll take that, especially when it looks this good. They're hot right now. They beat this team.
That's what I was going to say. These teams are they're seemingly headed in opposite directions. I mean, the Chargers tried to play their starters almost the whole game in a meaningless game last week. Got still hurt, but they still lost. They were losing when they pulled the starters. So it's not like not playing the starters is why they lost. Those starters lost to the Broncos. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Jaguars are going out there taking care of business left and right. And yeah, they had to have a little bit of help last week. The Titans kind of gave them the game with that Josh Dobbs fumble late in the game. But they got it done. Like, their defense made that play. So you can't take anything away from them. I love the way their defense is playing lately. Trevor Lawrence is emerging as like a legitimate, like, next level guy as this thing goes forward. And I start looking at the AFC. Josh Herbert, you got Lawrence, Josh Allen, Justin
Patty
Herbert,
Mahomes
Josh
is still
Allen,
there.
Patty Mahomes. Yeah, you go through that whole AFC. There's tons of great quarterbacks.
Joe Burrow.
And
I'm
Burrow,
surprised you left your guy out of that.
well, hey, look, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. But no, and even like Malik Willis, if he develops, and then depending on what happens, down here, the Texans could have had a quarterback. They could have had another stud AFC quarterback if they hadn't blown it. But and then
shout out to Lovie Smith though. Shout out to Lovie Smith pulling a gangster move. The Chicago Bears always took care of him. He said, "I'm going to get you guys the number 1 pick on my way out. I got you." And shout out to the Colts for purposely not deflecting that pass at all either.
Right?
You saw that he purposely whiffed it. I know that was on purpose, man. You're not going to convince me otherwise because they wanted to stay in their draft spot too. They didn't want to win that game.
Like, hey,
and nobody was guarding.
Nobody
was guarding Akins.
You got to make it look like you tried. Yep. That's right.
But no, so anyway.
I love this. I love the Jags money line here. Plus 120, a home dog who is actually trending in the right direction versus a road favorite that's trending in the wrong direction. Give me the Jags all day on this one, and I'm willing to die on that hill because that's it's a unit, but to me that's where the smart money is. I don't like the Chargers in this spot.
Yeah, and I mean, look, my one friend made a good point. He was like, look, they're selling you the Chargers left and right. Good luck with that. And I said, yeah, that's a good point. That's something to consider. We are always cautious of what they're selling us, but they sell us winners all the time, man. They sell us the Chiefs every year, and they're number 1 in the AFC every year. Like it's, you know what I mean? They're not selling us only losers. They got to keep it a little bit consistent to, make that strategy actually work.
That's what makes it. Yeah, that's what makes it hard to decipher whether they're. If every one of the things that they tried to sell you was a fraud, then it wouldn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
They have to get a bunch of it right so that then when they do the frauds, they get a bunch of people suckered by it. So I like the Jags.
And my favorite part about the Jags, I mean, they beat them 38-10 before they were hot. You know what I mean? That was when they were up and down, inconsistent. We didn't know what the hell to think about the Jags coming into every game for a while there in the beginning of the season. But let's get into some player prop as well that I love. I'm taking Joshua Palmer over 49.5 receiving yards at -110 on BetMGM and over 4.5 catches at plus 130 on DraftKings. We're doing a half unit each. So this is like my little hedge. I think for one to hit, they both have to hit. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it going. So I think we hit both of these. But just in case he gets 4 catches for 57 yards or 7 catches for 40, I'm going to play both as a little hedge. So maybe we end up with at least even money or something like that.
He's going to have one little 27-yarder in there somewhere. Yep. So it's how many other catches for 8 to 12 yards does he have?
So here's why I like this. He's hit 50 plus in 3 out of the 5 games this season without Mike Williams. And the 2 misses, they were 43 and 44. So getting close there, needed 6 more yards, but it was pretty high volume. He had 6 and 8 targets in both of those games. He's had double-digit targets in 2 of the games that they played without Mike Williams. He had 7 catches in both of those. He had 5+ catches in 4 out of 5 games without Mike Williams. The miss was only 3 catches, but on 8 targets. So they just weren't connecting that day. It happens. If it happens today, oh well, we lose a bet. That's what happens. That's why it's called gambling. Obviously, if I knew ahead of time, we'd be up way more than 60 units. But we're gonna go up anyway. But yeah, over 4.5 at plus 130. I mean, I had to take that. So I'm gonna do a half unit there and then a half unit on the yards at -110. I do think they both hit, but on the off chance that only one hits, that's what I'm rocking with. And then my last play here is each team to score 1 touchdown and 1 field goal in each half, plus 2,100 at a quarter unit. I think this is a perfect game for this. I ran this in the Jaguars-Titans game as well, and we missed on 1 field goal and 1 touchdown, 1 field goal in the first half and 1 touchdown in the second half. The Chargers a little bit better offensively than the Titans, I think everybody would agree on. So I'm going to rock with that as well. So I like this. Plus 2,100, quarter unit wins you 5 units. So let's go. I like this because I like the setup of this being that matchup that the NFL is looking for. It's a primetime matchup, and you've got 2 future star quarterbacks going head-to-head. And I like this game being one of those ones that ends up in the 30s. Yeah. I can see it. Like it for that. At least a, 24-21 type something or other where I could totally see this game being one of those, 24-20 where you get a couple of field goals each and you get a couple of touchdowns each from each team. Yeah, yep, I like it. Exactly. And real quick, before you bounce out of here, I just want to say a couple more points that I forgot that I left out with the Joshua Palmer play. The reason I'm going Josh Palmer, Keenan Allen is set at 81.5. I think if I had to choose, I would say he goes over. but it's a little high for me. I don't want to back it fully. But
well,
the
Keenan
Jags,
Allen might not even make it out of the second quarter. I mean, Keenan Allen's history is like something always seems to happen.
Yeah,
I've
there's
owned
that too.
Keenan
There's
Allen in
that too.
fantasy several years, and it's very frustrating because when he's on, it's like last week, and when it's not, it's like 2 catches for 13 yards, and he's out the rest of the game.
Yeah, and the other reason though also. The Jags cornerback, Tyson Campbell, he got rated by PFF. Now, I don't fully trust PFF all the way, but, I like where they do the little rankings because it gives you at least an idea of where players are at. Even if they're a little off, it gives you an idea. They are putting actual facts behind these numbers and whatnot. But he was rated top 16 in the NFL this year in coverage. So if he's able to slow down Keenan Allen, locked up on him, I like Joshua Palmer on the back end to get some of those extra touches from Justin Herbert. The Jags defense, they're 28th in pass yards, 20th in yards per completion, and 26th in getting sacks. So we don't have to worry about any of that, I don't think. And finally, before you go, Chad, shout out to Jay Pylon in the chat. What up, homie? How you doing? Hope everything's good, guys. But yeah, so that about wraps it up. I'm also going to put down a parlay. We got to throw a little parlay down. I'm going to throw it down on Twitter. Make sure you're following us. The link is in the description box right there for the Moose Sports Twitter. It's MOO_sports on Twitter if you want to type it in. But I'll throw a parlay for both games. We'll do a little combo both games, see if we can sweat it out all night and make some cash. Other than that, you were on mute when you said peace, but Chad said peace, everybody.
I'm out. Peace, y'all.
Happy betting, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow for the rest of the games and Monday as well for the rest of Super Wildcard Weekend. Let's win these bets, baby, as Chad bounces. We out. Peace.